Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about how people will react during an apocalyptic situation. I get quite a few comments talking about this apocalyptic scenario or that apocalyptic scenario. It wouldn't be that bad because of this reason or that reason. Billionaires would still have it great because they still have their money and all of the fancy things that billionaires have. But people tend to forget that other people will be the most dangerous thing about an apocalyptic situation. That is the real danger. After the whatever incident would happen, the asteroid struck or the CME, whatever, after that it would be people. And people today don't realize how bad that would get. Just how horrible other people will be reacting. How quickly society will decay into chaos. That all the lines of communication and trade and delivery and all this stuff will be useless if they work at all. They'll be gone or useless. You think, well, there's a delivery truck coming to our grocery store next week. It's going to be fine. We're going to be okay. But that truck gets hijacked along the way because by a bunch of starving people. That it's not going to pan out the way you believe or the way some people believe, simply due to the chaotic factor of other people's reactions to it. And I have a little bit of experience with that living in Florida, dealing with hurricanes. And one of my favorite quotes of all time is from The Dark Knight. It's when Batman is interrogating the Joker, and the Joker tells him, "People are only as good as the world will allow them to be. These civilized people, they'll eat each other." And there's a lot of truth to that. Because people are only as good as they can be. Once they can't be that good anymore, once their survival is on the line, once they haven't eaten in 5 days, once they realize that nobody's coming, the ambulance isn't coming, the hospital isn't operational, they're on their own. Things change quickly and they devolve quickly into chaos and violence. And Hurricane Katrina is a good example of that. I don't know how many of you remember it, but a lot of people were stranded by floodwaters in Hurricane Katrina. And the amount of violence person on person in that area, those people that were stranded, was just horrifying. And even when the helicopters from outside, and that happened relatively quickly, the helicopters came from outside to drop these people food and water, they were shooting at the helicopters. Yeah. So just imagine that kind of situation on a national or a global level. It's not what you think it would be. It's not even what I think it would be, because it would be probably worse than I can even imagine. And different, because it would just be complete chaos. We can't even imagine exact scenarios. There's a video online somewhere, I forget where it's at, but it's about an Army Ranger and a Navy SEAL. And they both of them go into like a Walmart or something, and they're, somebody's following them around with a camera while they get supplies to survive, right? Like they're going to survive in some kind of emergency situation. Well, the Army Ranger goes in there and he gets fishing hooks and a tent and all that stuff. He gets normal survival stuff that most of us would get. Then they go along with the Navy SEAL and he grabs a crowbar and different stuff like that. And they're like, "What the hell are you doing, dude? How's a crowbar going to help you survive?" He said, "I'm going to take from other people. I'm not even going to mess around trying to rub two sticks together and stuff. I'm getting what I need from other people." I mean, it's just honest and real, and that's how a lot of people will behave. They're just going to try to take from other people. So it will devolve. Your emergency personnel, your first responders, they will be looking after themselves and their own families first. And that's if they don't fall to someone like the Navy SEAL or in the calamity itself. So all the hospitals, ambulance, police cars, all those people will be out among the crowds trying to find food and stuff with everybody else. And the sad fact is that most people order out and eat out a lot, and their food stores are almost always depleted. They might have 3 or 4 days worth of food, maybe if they're lucky. A couple cans of tomato soup in their pantry or something, a couple beers in the fridge, something like that. Most people don't keep a month's worth of food stocked and ready to go. So in an apocalyptic situation, they will have to go out and find some. And I know from personal experience, just on a hurricane scare, that the grocery stores would be empty. That doesn't take long for grocery stores to empty out. Gas stations get emptied out fast. I mean, they just say that on the news or whatever that the hurricane is they show the model of it passing right over us, and 3 hours later the gas stations are empty. They're putting up signs down here that they're out. People run to there and fill up 5-gallon jugs and fill up all their vehicles and a lot of the times the hurricane will veer off and won't even come this way. So I don't know what they do with all that stuff in between, because it happens every single time. They should have all kinds of water, but I guess they just use the stuff up instead of just taking that stuff and putting it aside. Well, you can't do that with gasoline now, but you can do it with water and soup and beans. Put that stuff aside. But they don't. So most people will be hungry and desperate within 5 days. And then the billionaires are going to run the world after that, after an apocalyptic event. And again, I go back to the people factor. Number one, the billionaires, they're not billionaires anymore because people don't give a shit about money anymore because there's no food to buy with the money. And even if there is, then the people aren't selling it. The only food that's left is going to be food that people have hoarded for just such an emergency. And they're not going to sell it. Money will be completely worthless within a week or two. So the billionaires are no longer billionaires. They just have whatever they have. And if they come up out of their bunkers and they'll get ripped apart. So the human factor is the scariest factor in any apocalyptic situation. That's why I keep hammering home the same message. Get out of densely populated urban areas. It's going to be hell in areas like that. It's going to be chaos. It's going to be deadly. You just can't even imagine the amount of chaos that's going to go on when you have 10 million people in a densely populated area and all of them are starving. They're not going to be worried about keeping the telecommunication system up and running. They're not going to be worried about delivering their load of coal or whatever. They're not going to be worried about showing up to work the next day. They're not going to be worried about any of the things that we worry about day to day now. Their job is going to disappear overnight. And that's what we count on right now to do all this stuff is people. And when they abandon that responsibility, then all of it goes away. There is no trade network. There is no internet. There is no power. There is nothing without the people to run it and keep it up and maintain it. And I think that's what a lot of people forget about. You think about an asteroid hit and the results of that asteroid strike and what's going to happen afterward, but you fail to think about the population's reaction to that asteroid strike. That could be far worse than the actual strike itself. Especially today, it seems like we are constantly teetering on the edge of chaos. It's just waiting to bubble over and for people to go buck wild. We have rules, laws, and regulations clamping down on us tighter and tighter, and that adds stress to our lives. So people will act out at the slightest provocation if they think that they're not going to have to take responsibility for their actions and face the music. So we all have to keep that in mind when we're thinking about this kind of stuff. And it's not just all these big glamorous apocalyptic events. It could be anything that sets a spark and sends a jolt through society, especially during election years. So everyone just needs to be vigilant and try to be prepared for whatever may come and be aware of how other people will react. Because in a lot of cases, that is going to be the most dangerous aspect of any situation, other people. And I'll leave you there with that. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down below. Or you can hop over to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I'll put that link down in the description. We've also got some cool Gen X branded and Gen X Thinks branded stuff over at Redbubble. You can check that stuff out, and I'll put that link down in the description as well. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That helps out a lot. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And if you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments, or you can email me, and the email address is over on the channel page. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.